Good evening. Welcome to the League of Women Voters Candidates Forum. Tonight we're hearing from two of the three candidates who are running for supervisor in District 3. Heather Schmidt, the third candidate, was unable to be with us tonight. She had a family emergency that called her out of town. We will be reading her candidate statement, though, later. At this time, I'd like to introduce the co-chair of the Voter Services Department of the League of Women Voters, Kathy Morgan.
And welcome to everybody, and thank you for being here. The League of Women Voters really appreciate you coming. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization, and because of that, we do not support or oppose any candidates or political parties. The League today continues with their mission of empowering voters and protecting democracy by registering voters, providing information about the candidates and the issues, getting out the vote, and supporting fair and transparent elections. The candidate forums are an opportunity for voters to hear from the various candidates regarding the issues that affect our communities and to get the information that they need to make an informed decision when they vote. We realize that the candidates have very busy schedules, and we appreciate them being here tonight to answer your questions and to make their views and positions known. Thank you very much. At this point, I just would like to turn it right back to David Marin, but thank you on behalf of the League of Women Voters for being here tonight.
One other request, if you have a cell phone, will you please put it on vibrate or silent so we don't have any interruptions. Earlier, we randomly assigned the seating. Kim Morris-Stevenson will be going first on the opening statements, followed by Kelly Long. At the end of the night, we will reverse the order. So with that, let's get started. Our first candidate is Kim Morris-Stevenson. You have 1.5 minutes.
Thank you. So I am Kim Morris-Stevenson, and as supervisor, I will ensure that all voices of District 3 are heard in our county's government. We need consistent, hardworking leaders who invite tough conversations, listen, problem solve, and help forge a path to a brighter future with jobs and opportunities in environments that are safe, healthy, and affordable for everyone. My Ventura County roots run over 40 years deep. I was a resilient child who experienced my father's mental illness and suicide. My grandparents' care. She was a Central Valley farm worker. He was a cook and veteran. And the grit of my mother, who made sure her 4 children were equipped with educations, experiences, and commitments to serve. I am not a politician. I'm an award-winning educator and leader, currently at Oxnard Middle College here in the Oxnard Union High School District, helping students reach their goals with experiences and commitments to serve as my mom did for me. I'm a Rio Mesa Spartan who raised 2 Spartans of my own with my husband of 30 years, who's in the back, Dave. I'm endorsed by over 45 elected leaders from the federal, state, and local level who have seen what I can accomplish. They and I know I am ready to be your supervisor, and I hope I have a chance to prove it to you as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next candidate is Kelly Long.
Thank you, and I wanted to say thank you to the League of Women Voters and also Oxnard High School Union School District. This is a beautiful building. I pulled up, I thought everyone was here for the forum, and it's so exciting to see the continued education that's going on. And that just speaks volumes of our county. I want to make sure that you know that as your county supervisor, I've pledged to ensure that our county government is fiscally responsible. We're focused on building our economy, just like we were talking about today, improving public safety, and making sure that our communities get the help and assistance that they need from our security of the county. And I believe to be an effective county supervisor, you must demonstrate leadership, sound business experience, and the ability to work with all members of our county, in which I do. I've spent over 30 years of combined experience as a mechanical engineer, business owner, executive, school board trustee, and county supervisor for the last 2 terms, along with being a mother of 2 daughters who one currently goes to Camarillo High School and the other graduated just in 2020. I bring this position a skill set that includes management and leadership, budgeting and fiscal accountability, collective bargaining and negotiations, policy development, and process improvement that helps create the culture of excellence that our county has. And the third district is
Gonna have to
wonderful.
stop you there, Kelly.
Thank
We're
you.
at 0.
No worries.
Okay, as I mentioned, our third candidate, Heather Schmidt, who did join us for the Zoom that we did a week and a half ago, which you can go view on the League's website, had a family emergency and was called out of town, and so she sent over her opening statement. I'll read that now. My name is Heather Schmidt. I'm a freelance public policy consultant with 20 years of experience in education working on solving community problems using evidence, data, and an ethical approach to government administration. I have degrees in political science and philosophy, a master's in public administration, and a belief that we can improve our community through policy. Our county is at an inflection point. Cost of living is skyrocketing, jobs are stagnant, housing inflation is sticky, families cannot afford to make it here. We have to solve our issues by restoring good governance, using evidence-based policy, improving safety from all angles, and using innovation and technology to bring in jobs and improve the services the government delivers. If elected, I will work tirelessly to do that and more. With that being said, I will continue to share my views on the issues on social media, where you can find me at Schmidt4 District 3. That's the number 4 and number 3 for District 3. Please also view my website for more on me and my campaign at schmidt4district3.com. And remember to vote on March 5th. So with that, we'll begin with our first questions. We're going to start with Kelly. She'll go first on this one. We're going to bounce back, get it going. First questions, let's talk about disaster management. Ventura County has certainly suffered from various wildfires, natural disasters, drought, and others. So Kelly, we'll start with you. How have you or how will you work to protect against future disasters? Do you think there are more things we can do to improve our preparedness, particularly for these wildfires and extreme weather events?
Thank you. Great question. Starting in 2017, we had Thomas Fire. It was 10 months into my first term. And I was proud to be there to witness the great work that our public safety does. And from our state, federal, and cities, and the county, we worked tirelessly to get Thomas Fire out of the community for 22 days sitting in that CP. And I learned so much. And ever since then, we've had 7 years of disasters, fires, mass shootings, civil arrest, COVID, and just recently today we had our board of supervisors for storms and working with the county and the state for proclamation of disaster. So what I do is we do process improvement. Every single time we go through an issue, we look at the case, how do we handle it, and what better things can we do? What are the outcomes? If you know any disaster, we've all lived through it, the moment you go through it, it's about recovery. And so instead of focusing on how the accident happened, we help the people to make sure that they can continue their life, get to work, feed their kids, and really make sure that we don't have this again. So we do constant improvement, and it's a great team that we have.
Thank you. Kim, same question to you. Ventura County has endured many natural disasters. How will you work to protect against future disasters, especially preparedness and particularly wildfires?
Sure. So during those same disasters, I was working in schools. I was the principal of Adolfo Camarillo High School when the fire was coming down the Caneo grade. I had to immediately problem solve and think about what we were going to do in that moment. As I've said before, I am on the ground, hard worker, problem solver, someone who will take action as needed. I'm not just a talker, I'm a doer. What we need to do right now is we need to act proactively. We need to make sure that we have the infrastructure in order to have escape routes if we have another natural disaster. How can we prevent the flooding? How can we prevent traffic jams when there's only one road out of some of our unincorporated areas? We need to fix our streets and make sure that people aren't damaging their cars as they're coming down the road, but actually able to find their way to safety. We also need to make sure that our workers are taken care of. So this is why many of our tradespeople have endorsed me. They are looking for someone that they can work with to make sure that we are doing this work And we are doing it to create in a healthy and safe way for them, because they are out in the field working in the hot weather, working in the rain, working during the floods. They want to make sure that they're taken care of as well as our infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you. Kim, we'll start with you on the next question. Let's talk about the economy. Ventura County, the economy has been pretty much flatlining for the last 5 years, not any real significant growth when adjusted for inflation. So what's your views as far as what the county can do to improve the economy, to attract high-paying jobs, and make it so people can afford to live here?
Well, of course, jobs and opportunities are number one, right? We need to make sure that we have jobs in all sectors, high-paying jobs as well as lower-paying jobs, because not everybody here has the credentials to necessarily do that work. But then at the same time, we need to do the higher-paying jobs work. And they are just as concerned as the higher-paying people. This is some feedback I got from Oxnard last week. Some people saying that we need to look out for all jobs, not just the highest-paying jobs, for all people in this community. At the same time, we need to have training programs for people to get into those higher-paying jobs. And David, as you know, I actually use the State of the Region report in my classroom and make sure that kids are being equipped with local data on high-need, high-wage jobs all the time. I increased the career technical education programs at Adolfo Camarillo High School significantly, as well as the arts and academic and athletics programs. And I want to make sure that we have those jobs opportunities for all sectors. We have opportunities for people to have job growth and other growth. I'm watching my time. And make sure that we have places where they can live. So we've got to make sure that people have housing in all sectors as well. And that's going to create more jobs, right? So we build the infrastructure, we create the housing, and we create the opportunities and then the training opportunities as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly, same question to you about Ventura County's economy has been flatlining for the last 5 years. What will you do, and what do you see as the county's role, and how can we increase good-paying jobs?
Thank you. So, since I started, we really decided that it was important for us as a county that we needed an economic sustainability plan. And we need to bring in our businesses, our education schools, our nonprofits, and also hear from our communities just how do we get better paying jobs here. Currently, we're in a service industry, and we really need to develop our community to more of an industrial manufacturing type of process. And what do? We connect the Navy base with their technology, FathomWorks, with our community colleges, with our California State University Channel Islands, connecting with our Department of Defense, and figuring out what curriculums are needed for jobs here that are good paying jobs. We're working with the port. I have the longshoremen's endorsements, working with the port and making sure the goods that we create here can get worldwide, like Mission Avocados, like Limonera, Del Norte. Those are good paying jobs. We also do carpentry, teaching local, educating local. Not every student has to go to college, but they could get a certification, so you get training and get good paying jobs. So educating our community from the ground up, from preschool on up to a job, so they can do what they want. The American dream is to own a house, own a car, do what you want to do, and I want to make sure that we're doing that. Thank you.
Okay, last week when we did this, we focused a little bit on Santa Paula issues. Here's a Camarillo issue. They're concerned about the airport. It seems like the flight pattern there into the Camarillo airport is low. They even mentioned Ventura County Sheriff's helicopters fly low in there. Seems like it's going low. We know that the airport is doing some kind of plan, but can you address the concerns that many Camarillo residents have about the noise and the flight pattern into the airport?
Thank you. I've been on the airport commission or advisory board for all of my tenure as the county supervisor. And the noise is very important for us. Gabe Turan, city council member for Oxnard, is here. He knows very well of what Old Town residents are talking about. We're doing a noise study right now to ensure what the flight patterns are, especially working with FAA and our community, also the Navy base, to really get the octaves down and to figure out what are the right paths for our community. Also, we have flight safety, so we're working on strategic plan for both airports, to Oxnard and Camarillo. Really engaging the community so they understand what's going on as general aviation is something that we need here in Ventura County. It's extremely important that our businesses and our communities are working together and that we're finding solutions so that, as you know, when the fighter jets come across and it's so loud, that is something that we have to work on so that we can make sure that our daily lives are also not, what's the word, downgraded because of that. I think we need to work as a team, and that's what we're working with. I appreciate my staff, myself, working with our airport commissions to get it right, and so that's what we're doing.
Thank you. Kim, same question to you. If you're elected, what are your views about the airport flight patterns, the noise?
I live in those flight patterns, and I would say that, yes, the incumbent has been on the airport authority for the last 8 years and things have gotten worse. So we have increased noise, we have private jets, for example, Kim Kardashian's jet landing at our airport last week. Is this who we want to be? Are these our values? Do we want to be the airport of the valley and of people living nearby when Santa Monica Airport closes? In those 8 years, we've seen the resignation of the airport director. We've had some very questionable, non-transparent community meetings, which I attended and alerted other community members to, and made sure that I was there asking tough questions and making sure that we are not responding to really biased questionnaires that were being asked and then used to give reports to boards. So I was there as a community organizer. I made sure other people were there and that we were watching and asking those questions and making sure that we were getting as much transparency as we possibly could. We need forward-thinking oversight with transparency, with accountability, no broken promises. We need someone who will ask tough questions, conduct scientific studies, and educate our constituents in a timely, clear, and honest manner. We do not need more untransparency and things happening without us knowing. Thank you.
Thank you. Kim, we're going to start with you on the next question. Let's talk about water. So the questions from the audience deal with water quality and water availability. And certainly the county has a major role in ocean water quality, but as far as water for consumption, share with us your views about meeting the demands and ensuring that we are protected and that the groundwater basins are protected and that we can be able to have safe and sufficient supply.
That's a lot of questions in one
I'm
question.
going to give you a whole
All right. Okay, well, I do want to correct one thing from last time, and that is that the incumbent said that she was working with Nyland Acres and El Rio to serve with the Fox Canyon Water District, and that's just not true. That has never come up in a public meeting, and I want to point that out. I also want to make sure that we all understand that water management is a complex, multi-layered issue that involves local, state, and national regulations, and we need to make sure that we are protecting those resources, because once it is polluted, once there's saltwater infiltration, we will not get it back. This is our life. We need to make sure that we are putting our lives before commercial interests. We need to take personal action as well. So we need to make sure that we are protecting our water at home and using our best practices at home, taking responsibility. I personally have gotten rid of all of my lawns, right? And I'm using as little water as possible as I can. We also need to regulate our industries and make sure that they are only using their fair share. If the Fox Water District secedes from these mutual water districts, and the incumbent has worked with them on this, they are essentially going to take free rein and allow the agricultural industry to have free rein over the water. We cannot let that happen because we need the water as well, and they need to change their practices too.
Thank you, Kim.
Yes, thank you.
And Kelly, same question to you. Talk to us about protecting the groundwater basins, ensuring that we have high-quality water and there's availability and sufficient supply.
Well, thank you, and I think as an educator, it's important to really understand all the facts, and I think some of the facts were not true, just stated. First of all, I'm on the Fox Canyon Groundwater Sustainable Agency, and I'm also on the Fillmore Piru Groundwater Sustainable Agency. We have a meeting on Thursday. We are the first board to have M&I, so municipal, to have pumpers for both basins, to have environmental and county and the United Water District. This is a huge feat because what we're trying to do is sustainability for all. That's the goal of the DWR, which is the Department of Water Resources. We do that on Fox Canyon as well. And what we're doing for El Rio is getting the municipals that are there together so that we can have two ways of getting water. So that I don't get calls, residents don't get calls saying you don't have water for 2 days because you don't have the reassurance of a valve. That you can actually build homes because you have water pressure and you have good water quality. So it really, I think those communities deserve good quality water, and I'm very, very strong in making sure that that happens. We're even looking at bills where they're stating that the water quality is there, but it's not. They're losing some information, and we're looking through all the water municipals to make sure that that's happening. I think that our disadvantaged.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You get to go next. So, Kelly, the question is about the county budgets.
Yes.
And share with us, first of all, your experience to manage large budgets, but do you also feel, or I should say, and do you feel that the county budget is appropriate? How will you prioritize spending, and your views on the public pensions? Throwing a lot in there, but your skill at handling large budgets, your views on the public pensions, and also the spending of the budget.
Thank you. Ventura County has a $2.8 billion budget, and most of it is from our general fund, which is funding our public safety and our health care. I'd like to say thank you so much for the endorsements that I have from the Sheriff Freihoff, Sheriff Dean, we have our Ventura County Deputy Sheriff's Office, Ventura County Fires Association, the probation, I have California Highway Patrol, and many others on the state. We worked very diligently to be the safest county in the state. That is huge. But along with our budget for those two, we have grants, we have enterprises. We have 26 departments supporting our communities. And so we work very diligently to create policies to ensure that the communities are getting what they need, excuse me. And so we work tightly with the cities as well for mutual aid. Along with that, what I'd like to make sure that we know is our pension policy. Our pension policy is at 97%. That is phenomenal. Do you know what that means? I mean, there are pensions that are 50% funded. So if you retire today, you might not get your pension. At Ventura County, we have done our due diligence to ensure that when you have a contract and you are working for us and you retire, like Supervisor Long here, you will get paid. You will get your pension. We stand behind our contracts, and that's important. Thank you.
That's my fault. I should have been watching the clock. Okay, Kim, same question to you on the budget. Tell us a little bit your experience managing large budgets. What are your views on the county budget and also on public pensions?
Sure. So I am a businesswoman on top of an educator, so I do have a couple of businesses that are in the black, in the good one, positive, right? I don't want to get my colors wrong. I've also been principal of Adolfo Camarillo High School, always stayed under budget and had complete services. In fact, as I mentioned, increased services to students and increased our staff, unlike when the opponent was on the school board in Pleasant Valley, when as reserves were going up and tough times came in, staff was cut, teachers were cut, and programs for students were cut. So I made up for that when they got to the high school level. I'm very proud to have the endorsements of the county employees through SEIU 721, who believe in me and want me to be fighting on their behalf because they know that both administrators and teachers in this school district trust in me. I have served on both sides of the negotiations table as an administrator as well as a site rep right now for the Oxnard Federation of Teachers and School Employees. In fact, I was in a union meeting this afternoon before I came here. They know that I am fair, a fair negotiator who does the best possible outcome for both sides of the table. So the county employees have endorsed me, they would like to see me on their board, as well as other public workers and people who negotiate with the county, such as SEIU 2015, the home health care workers. So, many endorsements. I'm sure I'll get to those later.
Have to put
And
you on.
yes, thank you.
So, Kim, we'll stay with you. Naval-based Ventura County is the largest employer with over 20,000 employees. Many of those making great salaries, and also many of those very embedded in our community. They're very much a part of Ventura County. So there are always threats to close the base or reduce the size. What are your views about what can be done to ensure the naval base continues to thrive, assuming you do want it to thrive?
Yes, well, I am a product of the naval base. My stepfather worked on the naval base in VXE-6 doing Antarctic missions for his career. So we shopped at the exchange, we got our gas at the base, we went bowling at Port Hueneme, and I'm currently a partner with Naval Base Ventura County, the Naval Sea Warfare Center on the STEM program that I run, where we build remote underwater vehicles, and we race them at Fathom Works at the port. So that's with Dr. Ramon Flores, who's also endorsed me. And I would say one of the greatest fighters for our naval bases is Julia Brownlee, our congresswoman, and she also has endorsed me. Many state, local, over 45 elected leaders in this state, country, and locally would like to work with me. They've seen what I can do, they know that I'm on the right side of issues, and they would like to work with someone who can actually get something done. So just imagine if we can get that person into office, and I can work with Julia Brownlee to continue to fight for our veterans as well as our naval bases and the economy that brings to Ventura County. Thank you.
Thank you. And Kelly, same question to you about naval-based Ventura County. It's very important to our economy and to our community. What will you do to ensure it continues to thrive?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I really do get it done. Under my work, we got the first inter-service government service agreement, IGSA, that was ever in the county, in which we were able to fix the heavy-duty trucks that get transferred to Ontario, and we could use that, get it done at the fleet at the Ventura County. And then also, right afterwards, I was able to work with the Rear Admiral to get a $1 million contract, which is an IGS contract, for fixing our roads at the Navy base. We're working with them on utilities, on broadband, and so much more, childcare, housing. When Supervisor Ramirez, when we redistrict, she asked me to stay on our regional defense partnership because she knows my background in mechanical engineering, and the business really set tone to our Navy base, Ventura County. It is our #1 employer, and under my reign, we now have 100 commands there. We have the Coast Guard, the National Guard is here, which gives us a great defense against our fires and other disasters. We've been working very diligently with our team to make sure we have white papers to ensure that the Navy base does not leave, and that we've got an even better secure missile range. We're working with China Lakes and Vandenberg. And that's about it. I've got more, but we know.
Thank you, Kelly. Next question, let's shift our focus to Nyland Acres, which is part of the district. So the community center in Nyland Acres has been funded with about $10 million for the last 2 years. What's your stance on the construction of this desperately needed center? And also within Nyland Acres, there's a lot of concern about the speeding. There really aren't, certain streets don't have any sidewalks. There's the thought about installing speed humps. How do you feel about that? So share with us your plans about addressing the speeding within Nyland Acres and dealing with the community center.
Thank you. In 2020, Nyland Acres was able to get into District 3, and I'm very proud of it. In fact, I'm very proud of being the first supervisor to give property taxes back to our community. With our board, we were able to give the community the John Zaragoza Community Park back to the community and remove taxes. When have you had that done? That was the commitment from our board and myself to make sure that that park's available for everyone. Then through ARPA Fund, our $164 million, we were able to get $5 million to the Nyland Acres to build that. And then with Senator Lamone, and we were able to get $5.5 million for the state. So I'm pushing desperately to get that community center back because we need it for our Zuma with the public health. We need it for the Boys and Girls Club. I was the first one able to get a dual contract with Nyland Acres, who's here, our Nyland Providence, who's here, to really open up the community center as much as we possibly can. So if we can get the water and the parking, we're gonna get that done as quickly as possible. We have plans. We're presenting more information at the MAC coming up. We've got parks, we've got our CEO's office engaged, we have our architecture going, and to me, it's not going as fast, but then that's how government is. We have to check to make sure all the stuff's going
I'll
on,
just stop you there.
and we'll be done. Thank
Kim,
you.
same question to you as far as addressing the speeding in Nyland Acres, sidewalk issues, and also the community center. What's your stance on the construction of it, even ensuring that it's accessible?
Sure. So I grew up, I went to Rio Mesa High School myself, as I told you, so Nyland Acres, El Rio is home to me. This is where my friends grew up, it's where I grew up, and we do need traffic safety and pedestrian safety in these areas, whether it's Rio Mesa, El Rio, or Nyland. I would make sure that we are engaged with the community and making progress. There are safety issues on the streets. Kids are having to cross Rose Avenue, can you imagine, to get to school? And cars are driving extremely fast down there. Many community members have come to me asking me to please run for office and please come to Nyland and El Rio. It has been 2 years since we received $10.5 million to pay for a new community center, and nothing has been done. There's no drawing, extremely limited outreach by the county. I think they came out one time. What's going to happen to that money if we don't spend it soon? We need to get this project moving. Our community center is there, but it's limited access. It's locked some of the times. We need to make sure that it's getting as much access as possible for the community. I'm very proud to have the endorsement of many people in Nyland Acres, and gosh, just last weekend, at least a dozen of them were out canvassing for me in the area. So, got 16 seconds left. I think that's all I'm going to say. But we need a vibrant, thriving community center, and we need it soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Kim, next question. We did not talk about this at the last one. Agriculture is a very big industry in Ventura County, and certainly the county government plays a very important role. You have the Ag Commissioner monitoring and working with our farmers, but it is getting harder and harder to be a farmer. They're struggling, water, other issues, labor. So tell us, what are your views on agriculture, how you will support and protect this important industry that really makes up about 3% of our economy?
You know, it's interesting because I talk about this with students all the time, and that is that the agriculture industry is actually very diverse, and there's many, many job opportunities in it. It includes everything from policy making to chemistry to marketing and advertising, as well as being a farmer or being a farm worker. So I'm making sure that kids are getting those resources so that we can build the industry. In fact, this week we attended a college fair where it was Oregon State University's forestry program, and pointed out that they actually have an ag program within that, and that forestry should be included in the agricultural industry. I oversaw the agriculture program at Adolfo Camarillo High School. There we actually expanded it into welding, and I was able to get a lot of funding to increase the resources we have there for the ag program. That was the only one in the county for a while, but we've been able to expand that throughout the county. And then I'm a big supporter of CAG, which is another educational program for agricultural workers. Number one on my mind at all times will always be the safety and health of our communities, and that includes our food. We need to make sure that we have our open resources to grow the food here and to continue that economic, that part of our economy here in Ventura County. I remember back at Rio Mesa High School, I'm gonna have to end.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do after that. Kelly, same question. You talk with us about your views about supporting farmers and the entire agricultural industry.
Well, agriculture is roughly $2 billion. Think of that a year in wholesale revenue for our economy. And, it's been stagnant for many years. And we have 150 years of agriculture. We had our celebration at the Santa Paula. It was gorgeous, and to see the ag all there. But you have to, it comes at a cost. It comes at high cost of water, high cost of land, the changing labor landscape, pesticides, climate change. And so we're working diligently with the Agriculture Commission, our state and federal, USDA, and also all of our farmers in regards to how do we make it better for them to really grow here, to feed our community here, to buy local here. And I work on the Fox Canyon Groundwater Agency on a daily basis. We're talking about issues of how do we get water to our community. I'm also a big supporter of our farm worker housing and our farm worker resources to ensure that their safety is there, that they're trained on how to use pesticides and so forth, so we can use our local workforce here and help our farmers. And then also, if you know, for example, one of the farm worker housing that we have at the Somas Farm Worker, that's a 300 housing unit, which is really going to be helpful for our farmers. And we also have the right to farm, which is important for farming communities.
We'll shift now to climate change, and one of the persons submitting a question clarified how they view climate change, that adaptation is when you build infrastructure to withstand the effects. Mitigation is when you address the causes of climate change. And I'm going to put two questions here, so tell us about your views about dealing with climate change, mitigating and adapting. What is your view of the climate action plan, the county's climate action plan, and just the overall role with the Climate Emergency Council? That's to Kelly.
Thank you. I agree that our climate is ever changing. We have a storm coming up in just this weekend, and we see the differences from one year to the next. And we really need to work to reduce our carbon footprint. I think it's really important that we're supporting with a climate action plan projects that we do on the county facility. Those are great examples of that. They include battery storage, solar panels, increasing energy efficiency. We're also putting in EV charging stations. We are one of the greenest fleet vehicles for counties. And I support the Tri-County Energy Alliance, which is Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo, to get the green power here, which is going to be helpful. We just got a $12 million check from our congressional delegation on the Department of Transportation for EV charging stations. I think that our climate action plan is really going to help reduce greenhouse gas emission and to get the numbers to the state level, which is what we really have to do, along with sea level rise, which we're working with on the Fox Canyon. And what else can I say? The Sarah Sustainable BC, Tri-County, that's about it.
Very good, thank you. So Kim, same question to you as far as adapting and mitigating, and ask the audience if we could please keep it down. And Kim, what are your views on the county's climate action plan and the Climate Emergency Council?
Sure. First I'll start with myself. So I walk the walk and talk the talk every day. As I said, I've replaced my landscaping. I've been an EV driver for over 15 years. I don't know the year I started. We do aquaponic gardening in the back. We have our own ducks and chickens. I am working hard every day. I hold workshops at my house on EVs and how to do aquaponic gardening. My garden's been featured on the Camero Hospice Tour. So I'm walking the walk, talking the talk every day. And the sheet metal workers, the iron workers, who did not endorse you, which you said last time, the iron workers, the sheet metal workers, and the operating engineers have all endorsed me because they want to start talking about sustainable energy. They want someone who can build the bridge between the environmentalists and the trades and make sure that we are moving forward with EV infrastructure and other progressive ways for solving the sustainable energy issue. I also want to point out that the incumbent voted no to give Ventura County residents a choice for clean energy. That's the Clean Power Alliance. She voted no on the Climate Action Plan and no on the Climate Emergency Council. She also voted against the Farm Worker Resource Program that she's touting now, and she voted no to affordable farm worker housing, which she just touted as well. The board approved that, the previous board, Carmen Ramirez, who endorsed me last time when she, bless her heart, before she passed, as have Steve Bennett, Linda Parks, Kathy Long, and many others, John Zaragoza. All these people have endorsed me because they know that I will stand on the right side of issues and that I will get things done, and I will not take credit for things I don't deserve.
Thank you. Okay, Kim, we're going to start. Kim, obviously youth is an important part of our community. There are things that a county can do to support youth, promote well-being. Share with us some of your plans if you are elected to support youth, promote the well-being of our young people.
Sure, this is what I do every day. So, I mean, I just came from my classroom straight here, a Zoom union meeting, and before that, teaching all day. And I get to teach the really relevant subjects. I get to teach AVID, which is college and career preparedness. I just today was talking to kids about how to write a job objective and how to fill out an online and handwritten job application. You know, as I've said, we increased the programs in career technical education, arts, academics, athletics at Adolfo Camarillo High School. We won many awards, even 3 years in a row, the Civic Learning Award, which no one else has ever gotten because I get kids involved in the community. I am the community engagement coordinator at my school. Every single student at my school does research on issues in the county using the State of the Region report. They then go out and they observe and they volunteer with organizations, and then they have to write a proposal. I teach them how to write a proposal on what are they going to do to change the community in the future. And then they commit, and I check in with them every month. What did you do this month? What did you do this month? What did you do this month? I'm also the primary mentor at the Ventura County, the Social Justice Fund for Ventura County, where I help, because I'm so involved in the community, I go out and I help identify emerging leaders in the community and help them write proposals so that they can then get funding through us to the amount of $12,500 each to do very innovative programs around social justice in Ventura County.
Thank you. Kelly, same question to you. As supervisor, what can you do to help promote the well-being of the local youth of Ventura County? I'll support them.
I work extremely hard in making sure that we have the connections from our P through 12 to our community high schools to our Channel Islands University. We were just talking with Dr. Yao of the new degrees that are coming through, how we can get the certifications through to Oxnard, so perhaps a student can start into a community college first, get the training they need for nursing, other certificates, and then go to a 4-year degree. We're also working with FathomWorks. We've got robotics. We're trying to get VCOE. We've got flight simulators, which is training people to be air pilots. We have 700. We're lacking a year, and we need that training. We're also working with our Navy base, trying to understand what they need and really get that curriculum brought through. Also with the trades, I've got the carpenters, Luna, the longshoremen, the IBEW, Teamsters, all with us trying to teach local, because not every student needs to go to college to get a good paying job. And that's what I'm very focused on. I'm focused on making sure there's good training for our students.
Thank you. Kelly, we'll start with you on this next one. Homelessness. Ventura County, we're seeing an increase over the last couple of years. Can you share with us your plans? We all want to see it go away. I think that's a universal view. But if re-elected, what are some of the things that we can do to actually reduce homelessness? What funds are available? And can you talk a little bit about collaborating with others to maximize those services?
Thank you. You know, homelessness is not a one-size-fits-all. And we've learned that. The governor started in 2018 of homeless housing for all. However, it's not just roof over our heads sometimes. Sometimes it's making sure that we're not foreclosing on our house, that we're not getting kicked out of a rental, that we're making sure we're getting the substance abuse help that we need. Sometimes it's people just like to be out on the road and transit. So we really need to build policies and services, operational services for that. And I'm very proud of our continuum of care team, which is our cities, our nonprofits, our counties, working together and seeing what is really important, whether it's Ventura, Oxnard, Santa Paula, Fillmore, Piru, Camarillo, Thousand Oaks, Simi. Each one is different. And we found that from services that we can provide in Oxnard that are different from a regional support like we do at Spirit of Santa Paula, which we have the county, city of Santa Paula, and city of Fillmore working together for the operations of a 49 bed. Then what we're working on is housing. So making sure like Mountain View in, we have, 77 units in Fillmore. We've got the Ormond Beach for veterans, getting that done. And then we have a lot of other housing coming in.
Kim, same question to you. If you're elected, what will be your approach to homelessness, specific plans as best you can? What funds do you feel are available? How will you collaborate, or who will you collaborate with?
Well, Proposition 1 is on the ballot right now, and that's one option. We need to make sure that we have facilities and we have projects addressing all sectors of our economy. So there are people feeling vulnerable and like they might lose their housing at all levels of the economy. So we need to make sure that people who are homeless can find shelter. We need to make sure that people on the verge of homelessness, whether they're a senior citizen or they're youth living in their cars while attending college, right? We need to make sure that there's housing for people who are working. We have to make sure, at all levels. We need to make sure that there's also the more luxury housing as well to keep the quality of life in our community. So we need housing at all sectors. It takes a team to tackle homelessness. That's why Proposition 1 and the accountability it's going to bring to our state will be helpful, because so many times, as with the Nyland Acres Community Center, we don't see the money that's promised. We need to make sure that the money comes in and it's being held accountable to the communities that it was entitled to. Same with Santa Paula, who's faced some issues with not getting the funding they deserve. Same with the, it just goes up and down throughout. And I just want to point out that, there's been 8 years. It's been on her pamphlets for 8 years, and homelessness has gotten worse over that time, and I'm not completely blaming her. There's a lot of issues to that, but we need someone who will actually take some action. I also want to point out that healthcare is a big part of it. She voted no to the Healthcare Foundation, the Affordable Health Care Act, and the free clinic in Oxnard.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, Kim, one of the controversial issues that came up last year was the change in the county's ordinance regarding elections. So share with us your view on what your position is as far as campaign ethics, and for those who aren't familiar, the county removed an ordinance that had a cap on how much could be locally given to countywide races, not just supervisors, but sheriff and all that. It also allows donations now to be raised all 4 years that somebody is in office. Previously, they could only begin 1 year before their election. So, Kim, share with us your views on what's the right type of election ordinance or campaign ethics, and what the effects are in future elections.
Sure, kind of like the airport. Is this who we are as Ventura County? Is this who we want to be? I'm not sure why the current board decided to dissolve the ethics committee and raise contribution limits. Nobody from the community asked for that. They themselves asked for that. That was an action in their own self-interest. That is not who we are here in Ventura County. In Ventura County, we are especially in District 3, we are a familial community, people who take care of each other and rely on each other. We are the most vulnerable community in this county by the State of the Region report. By data, we are the most vulnerable community, and we know that we have to rely on each other whether we are related or not. It's a familial community, meaning that nobody is left behind. When you make decisions in your own self-interest, that is not reflecting the community that I want to represent. Who asked for that? I'm not sure. Saying that our rules are redundant with the state rules says that one size fits all, and that's not how it is. One size does not fit all here in our county, and it does not fit all here in our state. Protecting the power of individual voters, especially working class individuals, should be a priority, making sure that everyone in this community has a voice. Thank you.
Kelly, same question to you as far as the campaign ethics, the county ordinance. Share with us your views and perspective.
Thank you very much. Ventura County's old campaign finance ordinance didn't keep up with the times, and it really exposed Ventura County to lawsuits. And it's really lacking proper oversight and transparency to the state's Fair Practical Practices Commission. And so many of you might not know, but on the legislation and in the counties of the 58, there's a lot of conversation in regards to this. And so just so you know, most of our 58 counties have defaulted to the state's FPPC rules, including Santa Barbara and San Luis Obispo. Those counties to our north are both very strong Democrat communities. And I say that because it goes either way. It's not biased by the state. And the FPPC is better understood by the candidates and the citizens, and they do a better job of oversight. I wanted to read you a couple things. It, one, informs all interested parties to the details of acts, including current and previous enforcement action. It assesses candidates and citizens with a wide array of manuals, fact sheets, guides, trainings, and outreach, as well as technical advice. It interprets the act through regulation and legal advice, leaving no one to interpret the information. And lastly, it gives the FPPC Enforcement Division investigate and administrative prosecute violations of the act. It's very important.
Okay, well, we're going to shift gears and go to another very important issue. It's one that's talked about a lot. It's the issue of mental health services in Ventura County. Kelly, you're up first. So this has been a problem for a long time. There's been some questions about what's happening within the mental health department. Share with us what you believe are the most pressing needs. Do you feel the county is adequately staffed to meet needs? What are some of your plans if reelected?
Thank you. Mental health is an item that our medical committee oversight talks a lot about. Not only is our body important, but is our mental health. And Ventura County is, our behavioral health is addressing our countywide alcohol and drug services, our mental health services for adults and youth, providing health clinics to contracting nonprofit organizations. We have the expansion of the Grando Wind and Star, making sure we have culturally comparable, competent medical health outreach. We have the professionals that are trained. We have our whole patient care. We're going with the Santa Paula Blue Ribbon Committee that I formed for making sure that we have the health care for Santa Clara Valley. We're doing the homelessness, health care for homelessness with the whole person care. And then you have Prop 1. We're putting in Cal AIM. We're trying to make sure everyone is registered on the Cal Medi-Cal, which will be about 70%, which is fabulous. And what we're working on is trying to build a plan in case Prop 1 goes or it doesn't go. We have 30% of that prop goes to housing, but then that means 30% of the funding for our programs isn't going to be there. And we have to really make sure we're developing a program that will sustain all of it. And along with that is the lack of funding from the state.
Sorry, I've stopped you there. And Kim, same question to you about mental health services. If you're elected, what are some of the specific programs and projects you'll work on? What do you think are the most pressing needs in the area, and do you think the county is adequately staffed?
Absolutely not. There's no evidence of it being adequately staffed. Like many people in Ventura County, I've been personally impacted by the challenges of mental health in my family and with my students. I've had to send students to facilities in Bakersfield, Riverside, and all over the place where sometimes their families can't go with them, sometimes they can't access them, and they may not be able to afford a place to stay themselves near their family, near their son or daughter. It is heartbreaking. We have so few facilities here for mental health, and we have no facilities right now for involuntary people who need to go there involuntarily. I've also seen the impact that you can have on someone who has mental illness by proper treatment, by getting them stabilized, getting them on the right dosage of medication, and they can actually become functioning members of society where you can't even tell anymore. I want to make sure that everybody has all of those levels of health. As I started to say earlier, the incumbent voted no against the Healthcare Foundation of Ventura County, opposed the Affordable Health Care Act, and voted no to the Westminster Free Clinic, where I send dozens of students every year, train them, and my own daughter was a student manager there. Mike, there has been no commitment to mental health funding in the last 8 years, as evident by the zero increase in funding
Thank you,
under the
Kim.
incumbent.
Got to stop you there. And Kim, we'll start with you on this next one. Now, this isn't about policy, it's more about preferences. So supervisors sit on many committees throughout the county. They deal with a wide range of issues that impact our community. So Kim, what particular committees will you seek to serve on? And share with us why you want to work on those particular areas.
Oh my goodness, that's a really good question.
It is, I like it.
Yes, so I'm assuming that, I would have a place on the airport authority because I would be representing the area of the airport. I would like to be on anything regarding health and mental health services. I would also like to be on anything involving the health and safety as through the environment. I, of course, would take the utmost responsibility to make sure that we are communicating with our unincorporated communities, whether that's El Rio or Nyland or Piru or Lockwood Valley, because that is the direct responsibility of the county. So I want to make sure that they're getting the attention that they deserve. I would say those would be my priorities. Thanks.
Thank you. Kelly, same question to you. If you're the supervisor, what would be some of the committees that you'll choose to sit on and why?
Currently, I sit on Ventura County Retirement, Employee Retirement Committee, and I'm very proud to make sure the investments are there for employees and to make sure Alameda's there, it's all put in, and that our employees have the education they need to be prepared for retirement and what they have. I'm also on the Ventura County Medical Oversight for our 2 hospitals and 13 clinics. That is a safety net of our community and so key. We have our Ventura County Transportation Commission, making sure that our roads are there, our public safety is there, free transit to transportation to our colleges. We also have our Fox Canyon Water Board, GMA, that I'm on, also the Fillmore Piru Board that I'm on, which is crucial. We have our 2 airports, Camarillo and Oxnard. I'd love to get back on the first 5 because education is so key in our younger ages. And then also our Economic Development Collaborative, working with our businesses to build our childcare, to get WEAVE, Women Economic Vitality. Growing those grants is extremely important. Also I work on the state and the federal. California State Association of Counties, National State Association of Counties, really working our best for Ventura County on the state and federal levels.
Thank you. Kelly, next question to you. So District 3 is certainly a mixed and underserved community. We have wealth and we have poverty. So many of the people in District 3 are food insecure. They have rising rents, which makes home insecurity. There's also a big push for people to get into electric vehicles for the environment, but of course that's out of reach for many. Are there policies that you think at the county level that could help to lift those who are facing insecurities, and also your views on how to make electric vehicles affordable for that community?
On the Southern California Government Affairs Board, we talk about EV charging and where are they. And unfortunately, it is focused on the 101, the main transit areas, but it's not focused in many of our disadvantaged communities. And for us to go to 100% electric vehicles, we really need to be supporting our communities that don't have the funding for that, like Santa Paula, like Fillmore, like Piru. We just recently did a Superfund for the Fillmore Chevron site. That Superfund site could not be built with houses, but we were able to provide solar panels there and also an EV charger, which is going to give lower cost of energy to our communities so that they could afford higher utilities for electrical vehicles and so forth. We're also working with plans for grants, making sure that we can buy back programs. What can we do to really help our community be able to buy the cars that they need? Right now, to afford a used car for $4,000 is really hard. And how do the cost of gas is extremely hard. So trying to make sure that we're doing those policy making to ensure that they can still get to their jobs, put the food on the table, and we also do a lot of community outreach to see what is the best we can do for them, if it's food share.
Thank you, Kelly. Up there, Kim. Same question you, Kim, about the situation with District 3 as far as the underserved. What things can you do to help make them more prosperous, and what can you do to make the electrical vehicles a little bit more affordable and support them?
Okay, so as I said, I'm an EV driver, and I wanted to make sure before I turned in my last lease that there was actually something that they were going to be used for, and I found out that there is a market for them, so I was happy about that. But I would say what I would continue to do is to continue to advocate for our underserved communities. So for example, about a week and a half ago, I was at the Santa Paula Community College District meeting advocating to bring community college services to that community. There are transportation issues there for sure. Students who don't have transportation and have to spend a whole day getting to 2 classes. We heard testimonial from a young lady who had to leave at 6 in the morning, take 1 class, wait 6 hours for another class, and then wait for the last bus to get home. And she had to time that very carefully because she couldn't get to her classes any other way. The last time I spoke to the Community College District was to advocate for EV charging stations and the solar panel project at Oxnard College, because it was slated on the agenda only for Moorpark and Ventura. That is an equity issue, right? So I went up there and advocated that all of the community colleges in our district, including Oxnard, should get that same project. And sure enough, if you go there now, you'll see it's right next to my classroom, the EV charging project with the solar panels. I have experienced economic insecurity, and I am a problem solver. I know how to solve problems and do things under those conditions. I'm done with talking about issues, but actually doing something about it. Just real quick, she voted no.
You don't have time.
There's 2 good ones.
Sorry. Let's save that for your closing statement.
All right.
So, Kim, we're going to shift gears. We've had a lot of questions on this, and I haven't gotten to it yet, so I want to get them in. But as far as the oil and gas industry, and so a specific question and then a 50,000-foot view. So, rules adopted in 2020's Ventura County General Plan ban the flaring for new well drilling of oil wells, oil field natural gas. And we are starting with Kim. So this question is, if you were elected, will you retain these rules that ban the flaring of oil field natural gas? And just share with us your approach to oil and gas. Do you think there's room for that industry in Ventura County?
Absolutely, and we need some oil, but we don't need unlimited oil, and we don't need industrial practices that harm our communities. Flaring harms our communities. There are more kids in Oxnard with asthma and more people with diabetes than anywhere else in this county, and it is directly related to corporate practices. We need to make sure that safety and health of our community comes first. There are other ways to do these things, and the oil industry is making so much money that they can give almost $1 million, or about actually $1 million to campaigns here in our county, corrupting our local politics with big corporate money from outside Ventura County. So, we need people who care about this county on the county board, who are not going to bring outside profits in. If they have enough profits to do that, they certainly have enough profits to clean up their oil wells, to cap their oil wells, and to do it in a different way without flaring. We do not need to settle with the oil industry. I was a high school principal. I do not settle with bullies. I have dealt with many bullies, and I will not settle with them. So I think that's all I'm going to say about that.
Thank you. Kelly, same question to you as far as if you are elected. Will you vote to retain the rules that ban the flaring of the oil field natural gas? And your overall views as far as the approach for oil and gas? Do we have room for that industry in Ventura County?
Thank you. I put oil into energy, and I support all strategies of energy for our community, and I think that's really important that we're investing in transitioning to renewable energy, but we also do it in an economic, responsible way. And I really want to make sure you know that I don't want to see working families and working poor harmed unnecessarily by raising fuel costs, whether it's pumping or heating or cooling their homes. But I do know that we've spent over $3 million in litigations in regards to EIRs, of staff recommendation, community outreach, of rules and regulations, policies that are in place. and that's what we're talking about today. The flaring, if feasible, there are situations in which our planning department would take one option or the other, mostly on an emergency basis. So I'm going with the information that the staff is stating and making sure that our community is very safe. As many people know, trucks are a huge exhaust and air pollution that we have. How do we fix that? We also have the port, the energy just went out. We have a $14, $30 million project for energy, but that port, without that green energy, is a high pollutant area. So trying to work with them to get that done.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
A lot of good questions, trying to get one last one in here for everybody. So let's talk about something that we usually don't talk about, but is sort of very important that you do behind the scenes. And the supervisors need to advocate for Ventura County, both at the state and the federal level. So Kelly, we're going to start with you. Tell us about how you believe the county can advocate so we don't just get our share, but maybe get a little more of our share, state and federal levels.
I'm very proud of our department heads, our CEO's office, and all of our organizations here today and not here, because we really advocate for our community. Most of the time, Ventura County is one of the first to do a pilot on anything, whether it's pesticides, farm worker housing, area on aging plan. We are the first to come to the table and advocate for our community, whether it's a state or federal level. We're working on broadband, fixing the middle mile. I think that's extremely important. I've been on the California State Association of Counties and the National Association of Counties for their health care and also as board of directors and executive. We utilize our legislators. We have fabulous legislators in Ventura County to really lift up the community and get as many grants as possible. And I think you see that in our budget. And I think you'll see that when the governor's office calls me the day of our disaster for the rain, saying, I've got your emergency declaration, Kelly. We've got it. We're going to give you the money that's needed for Ventura County. They trust us, and it begins with trust. And we trust them. And so we're getting as much money as we can. And I love it. We're the only one, top 4 for FEMA money to get given to us. We use all of the funding. They trust us. We got 100%.
Thank you.
It's really good.
Kim, same question to you. If you're elected, as far as what do you think is the right strategy for advocating? What will you do? Do you have any particular concerns about legislative mandates or any of that stuff?
Yes, so this is where I'm going to take my time on endorsements, because clearly the legislators of our state have chosen me as their candidate. So all the way from Julia Brownlee, who just brought $12 million to our county, through Tony Thurmond, our state superintendent of public instruction, to Senator Malik Limon, to Assembly Member Steve Bennett. Past and present legislators have endorsed me because they know that I will bring the community voice. I understand our community. I will bring that voice to the table, I will advocate with them, and we will work together to find solutions for this community. I want to represent you, and I want to bring my skills at collaboration. I teach it every day. It's one of the average standards is to teaching collaboration. Teaching collaboration, problem solving, bringing solutions to the table, and coming up with the best possible, not just a plan, but action of what we can do. What we've seen recently in the last few years is our county plan has been decimated. It's gone. There used to be a nice plan developed by the former supervisors, and a lot of the things that the incumbent talks about, we, it was not her. It was the previous board that put these things in place. Whether it was the Blue Ribbon Committee that Kathy Long started, or many of the other things that she's talked about. And I'm going to use my last, no, I'm not going to use it because it's only 6 seconds, darn it. But that's what I'm going to say. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to wrap up and begin closing argument or closing statements in just a moment. Kelly will go first. But before we do, it was really nice being in person again. For the lead. On Zoom, my colleagues and I, we get the questions in advance, we try and do our best job. Here it's a little more rapid fire, but it's just great to see you all supply your questions. So how about a round for our audience? Some of the questions that we didn't get to, one would be talking about your experience managing people, particular policies that you've authored, I should say. Lee Monera wants to add homes. What are your plans to support that or not? More about the carbon footprint, things like that. Sorry again that I didn't get to them all. But at this time, I want to remind you two things. We have these two candidates and a third one, Heather Schmidt, who was unable to be here tonight because of a family emergency. And this is an election where it's not automatic that there'll be a runoff. So there's three candidates. If one candidate gets 50% plus, then they will win in the March 5th primary. If not, then we will have a runoff of the top two in November. So I see a lot of nodding heads. I guess I did not need to. With that, Kelly, when you're ready, you have a minute and a half.
Thank you so much, Dave. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with all of you. And for the league to sponsor today's forum, we've just been doing it every couple years, and our community really appreciates that. So thank you, and thank you to all of you for caring for our community. It's extremely important. Whether we agree on issues or not, we're trying to do the best for our community, and I'm really proud to be a part of Ventura County. It's been an honor to serve for the last 2 terms, and I believe the 3rd District is the most dynamic and diverse district in this county. And I've worked tirelessly to represent the needs and desires of all our residents. I appreciate the staff that I have and the amazing community leaders that have endorsed me, along with all the public safety groups, like I said earlier, DSA, fire, the probation, CHP. I also have Ventura County Business Alliance along with that, and then our unions that we've stated, which is Teamsters and IBEW and the Longshoremen and La Luna and the Carpenters. Just speaks volumes. They've many dedicated community members. I could list that. It's on my website at kellylongfordsupervisor.com. And I just want to say that I will be continuing to work hard, if elected, every day to bring a balanced approach to our community, to outreach to our community. Thank you.
And our next candidate, Kim Morris-Stevenson.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to the league. And I just want to say that it is time for real action on opportunities in jobs, affordable housing, education, and career training. It is time for a focus on our safety and health, our emergency response, our infrastructure, our healthcare access, protecting our air and water. It is time for all people of this district to have access to their county government, to their services for all people in this community, and a supervisor who is engaged, listens, and brings their voices to the table. I do want to point out that the incumbent voted no on transportation funding. She just talked about that. She voted no on transportation funding for maintaining roads throughout this county. Look at our roads and tell me if that was the right vote. She voted no on a bike trail from Ventura to Santa Paula. That's not working on environmental transportation options. She consistently, always does her job to vote in support of the oil industry, and they have compensated her well in contributions to her campaigns. This is public information, you can look it up yourself. I'm not beholden to any one group, but I'm very grateful to have the endorsements of working people from throughout this state, whether it's nurses, teachers, environmentalists, labor, Central Labor Council, the Central Coast Labor Council has endorsed me, as well as trades, the iron workers. Oh, that was it, thank you.
How about a round of applause for these two?